Long ago, the world had become a place where injustice and wickedness reigned. People had become prisoners of their greed, anger, and hatred. The rich oppressed the poor, while the weak, in search of mercy, were pushed into even greater suffering. The goodness in people's hearts had withered away, and righteousness was forgotten. Theft and deceit had become an ordinary part of daily life, while morality and honesty were nothing more than subjects of ridicule. The ground was stained with blood, and the streets of the cities were filled with injustice and chaos. No laws remained, only the rule of power dictated the order of the world. As people indulged in their pleasures and entertainments, they paid no heed to the weak. No longer did prayers rise to the heavens. Instead, only the echoes of greedy laughter filled the air. Yet, in the midst of this corrupt world, there was still one man who had not strayed from God's path: Noah. Unlike his people, Noah was honest, virtuous, and faithful. There was no place for evil in his heart, and he remained devoted to God's commands. He did not lie, he did not oppress, and he always upheld justice. But his people ridiculed him for these very traits, dismissing him as nothing more than an odd, peculiar man. One night, as Noah gazed up at the star-filled sky, he heard a deep, resounding voice. It was a voice so grand and overwhelming that no human ears could truly perceive it. It echoed as if rising from the very fabric of the universe itself, delivering to him a great command. The world had to be cleansed. The wickedness and injustice of humankind would bring about its own destruction. God would wipe away this corrupt generation with a mighty flood. But for the faithful, there was a path to salvation. A great ark would be built, and Noah, along with those who believed, would be saved. Noah did not question this calling. He bowed to God's command and, at the first light of morning, gathered his family to share the divine mission entrusted to him. His sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, listened intently, though doubt lingered in their hearts. But his son Canaan did not even bother to attend. Noah and his sons began constructing an ark so immense that it seemed to pierce the sky. Timber was cut, beams were assembled, and every detail was meticulously planned. God himself had instructed Noah on how the ark should be built. Length, approximately 135 meters. Width, approximately 22 meters. Height, approximately 13 meters. It would have 3 levels, each serving a distinct purpose. Day after day, the sounds of hammering and sawing echoed through the land as the colossal structure took shape, standing as a silent warning of what was to come. At first, the people watched the massive construction in silence, trying to understand what Noah was doing. But as days passed, curiosity turned into mockery, and mockery into hostility. They saw building a colossal ark in the middle of a barren land as nothing but madness. No one believed that rain would pour down from the sky in torrents. Children began throwing stones at the ark's hull, while young men laughed openly, ridiculing Noah as they watched him work. Yet Noah paid no attention to their scorn. Their words did not matter, only God's command did. He worked tirelessly for years, never wavering. At last, the ark was completed. Towering over the dry land, its massive wooden frame stood as a silent warning of the impending catastrophe. But the people still had no idea what was coming. For years, Canaan had seen his father's work as nothing more than a foolish dream. In his eyes, Noah was wasting his life chasing an illusion. Even when the ark was finally completed, he remained with the people, standing among those who mocked and dismissed his father. Noah pleaded with him countless times, calling out to him again and again. But Canaan refused to listen. He had already made his choice. Noah let out a deep sigh. As a father, he desperately wanted to save his son, but there was nothing more he could do. God's judgment was final. Turning to the people once more, Noah made his last warning, urging them to repent. But no one listened. Their hearts were as hard as stone. None of them wanted to change. The ark stood ready, its massive structure towering over the barren land. The sky was still bright, and the people continued to laugh at Noah, just as they had for years. But that day, something was different. The wind had shifted. The air felt heavier. The trees stood still, their leaves no longer dancing with the breeze. A deep, unsettling silence settled over everything, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Noah received God's command. It was time to enter the ark. First, his family boarded the vessel. His wife stood by his side, unwavering in her loyalty despite years of ridicule and isolation. His 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, along with their wives, stepped onto the ark. But Canaan still refused to enter. Among the people, only a small group of believers joined them. Noah had spent years warning the world, yet so few had listened. The number of those boarding the ark was small, but the most astonishing sight of all was the animals. Every kind of creature entered the ark 2 by 2. Lions and tigers stepped through the massive doorway, their fierce presence contrasting sharply with the delicate birds and rabbits hopping beside them. The heavy footsteps of elephants made the wooden planks groan under their weight. Wolves, foxes, and wildcats moved cautiously, their eyes sharp, as if sensing the approaching storm. Serpents slithered in silence, gliding along the edges of the entrance. Chickens, goats, and sheep entered without hesitation, while predatory birds perched high, and doves and sparrows fluttered to the upper levels of the ark. It was a supernatural spectacle. The animals moved as if guided by an unseen force. No shepherd led them, no man commanded them. It was God who had summoned them. The people watched in stunned silence as the animals entered the ark in perfect order. The vessel was now full, and its massive doors began to close slowly. Yet those left outside still did not believe. And then the sky roared. The first drop fell, then another and another. Soon the rain began to fall in a steady veil, descending from the sky like an endless curtain. But this was no ordinary rain. Suddenly, the earth split open. Water erupted from the depths like boiling fountains, cracking the ground apart as it surged to the surface. Cities, villages, and valleys were swallowed by the rising flood. People screamed, running in desperation, but there was nowhere to run. At first, the water reached their knees, then their waists, then their chests. It was rising too fast. Escape was impossible. Inside the ark, everyone prayed, whispering their fears to God. Outside, the desperate cries grew louder. Fists pounded against the wooden walls. "Noah, let us in! We believe in God now. Please, open the door. Please, my children, don't let them die." But the doors had been sealed by God himself. Noah had no power to open them. The ark lurched violently as the raging waters tossed it like a mere leaf. The waves surged higher, splitting open the sky with deafening roars. Thunder crashed like 1,000 voices, and lightning tore through the darkness, momentarily illuminating the drowning world before plunging it back into endless night. Inside the ark, the animals stirred in fear. Horses stomped the wooden floors, restless and anxious. Sheep huddled together, trembling. Birds flapped their wings frantically, filling the space with the sound of desperate fluttering. People clung to the ark's wooden walls, struggling to keep their balance as the vessel rocked violently. Outside, the doomed fought desperately for survival. Some climbed onto rooftops, others scrambled up hills, and some gripped the highest branches of trees, clinging to life. Canaan, standing on a massive rock, still refused to acknowledge his father's warnings. He had ignored every plea to board the ark. But no one could stand against the power of the flood. A colossal wave, strong enough to swallow mountains, surged forward with unstoppable force. Canaan turned to flee, panic filling his eyes. But it was too late. The water reached his feet, then his legs, then his chest. And finally, it consumed him completely. Canaan was gone. Noah fell to his knees at the edge of the ark, watching as his son disappeared beneath the relentless waves. God's voice echoed in his heart. He was not of your family, for he did not walk the righteous path. For 40 days and 40 nights, the storm raged on. The ark drifted through an endless ocean, swallowed by darkness. The wind howled, and each towering wave thrust the vessel from side to side. By the dim glow of a flickering lantern, Noah looked at his family and the few believers who had joined them. Fear was etched into their faces. Then, on the 40th day, the storm began to calm. Noah scanned the sky. The waters had started to recede. In the distance, the peaks of mountains began to emerge. He released a dove into the sky. It returned, finding no land to rest upon. Days later, he sent it out again. This time, it carried an olive branch in its beak. The earth was coming back to life. And one morning, the ark came to rest upon the peak of Mount Ararat. Noah and his family stepped out, setting foot on solid ground for the first time since the flood began. And then, in the sky above them, a rainbow appeared, a divine promise, a new beginning. Humanity had been given another chance. But in Noah's heart, the weight of those left behind remained. One flood had ended, but humankind's journey was only just beginning.